G'day guys, Tony Angus here, out and about on a perfect Melbourne day. So it's about 26 degrees Celsius, so 80 Fahrenheit. Slight breath of fresh air, beautiful. So I thought I'd choose today to walk around the neighbourhood and talk about tips for managing conflict and aggression as part of the Telling It Like It Is series. And today I wanted to discuss something really important with you, and that is the effect that dopamine plays on your communication and your conflict management. So I thought I'd find a nice quiet spot, only to find it'd be followed by this tractor. You see, one of the problems is we get dopamine when we win. And dopamine is a chemical that gets released into the brain under certain circumstances. When you eat, you get a certain amount of dopamine. You get a little more if you eat some chocolate. You get dopamine if you have sex. You get dopamine if you win, so you win a race or you win a fight. But you get dopamine if you win an argument and if you feel good about yourself doing that. Now there's a problem there because you don't get any chemical reward if you are effective in your communication. If you turn the other cheek, if you agree to disagree, if you just, you're in the right, but you choose not to argue anyway, so you just say, oh, well, I'm not going to argue. There's no reward for that. I was conducting a training program a few years ago, and one of the guys during a break was sharing a story with his colleagues about how he dealt with someone who had used these words. I pay taxes. I pay your wages. Therefore, you work for me and you should do as I ask. So that's what this customer said. And so this guy was telling his mates about how he responded. And he said he dug in his pocket and he came out with 50 cents and he flipped it at the guy and said, there you go, mate, there's your change. Now, the guys that were standing around him laughed, joked, oh, good one, you showed him. So this is where dopamine comes in. Because if you have a really sharp, snappy comeback for that person, then you're going to get a win and your brain is going to release dopamine as part of that reward mechanism. Now the problem with this is if you keep hunting for dopamine, you may not be communicating appropriately or effectively. The next part of the problem is we tend to look for some sort of extrinsic, in other words, from someone else, extrinsic reward. And so if you go back to this scenario that I told you about earlier, where the customer of somebody in one of my classes says, I pay taxes, therefore I pay your wages, therefore you work for me. And that employee dug out that 50 cents and threw it at him and said, here's your change. The problem with that scenario is not so much that the guy felt good about himself, although he obviously did. He felt really cool. The problem is his colleagues laughing and slap him on the back, causing an extrinsic reward. So he would have got a rush of dopamine as a result of his colleagues patting him on the back for that behaviour. So what do you reckon the solution might be to our little dopamine problem? Well, I think first is self-awareness. You've got to be aware that you're chasing that dopamine rush, that it feels good to win. Let's be fair about that, it does, of course it does. And it feels good to win for all of us. Just got to make sure I'm not stepping on a snake out here. We've also got to then think about rewarding each other for appropriate and effective behaviour, not just for the smart-ass behaviour. If you see somebody acting professionally, somebody who turns the other cheek, somebody who seems to tolerate an extraordinary amount of insult or abuse, and they do so really effectively and appropriately, you need to go up and extrinsically reward them. Give them some dopamine by patting them on the back for that. By saying things like, I noticed what you did there and I thought it was amazing, well done. Or, I'm impressed with your communication skills, especially given the insults and abuse you were facing. Reward people for better behaviour. Don't just slap people on the back because they came out with some witticism. That's not who we're looking to generate. It's not what we're looking to generate. We're not trying to foster those sorts of people in society. Because if you are, then put up with the conflict that you're currently dealing with. If that's the sort of person that you want to generate around you, then be prepared for there to be more conflict. It's that simple, guys. If you've found this useful, click like, hit share, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We can use more people like you who are interested in good communication skills. Take it easy. All the best from Melbourne.